comment period, please.
Ready, set, go.
Go.
I'm going to start out by commending whoever the powers are that be for creating this amazing meadow in Boyce Park. I don't know how much of it's in Plum, if any of it's in Monroeville, but I stopped over there with our daughter earlier today, and I was in heaven. It's just beautiful. All the coreopsis is blooming. There's some other wildflowers in between. If you haven't been over there, take a walk. It's beautiful. I'm hoping it can be used as a model for people for their side yards, their front yards, and their backyards. And it's an evolving thing, so it'll look different every year. I was hoping tonight there would be a report of some of the questions that four of us asked on Thursday. I had asked Mr. Little, actually through Mr. Gressock, Dr. Gressock, if they knew of any reports or advice, had been advised that there were going to be any planned fracking wells around the borders of Monroeville. And Mr. Gressock, you said no. Mr. Little, you said no. And then Mr. Hugus said yes, that the municipality had been advised that there would be some wells put in Penn Township, most recently, he said. And so that I was wondering what other advice you had been given. And I was hoping that you would report on that tonight publicly so that we could know. I was very curious, and I asked a person who knows about this kind of thing who looked into it. If you drive down to the beautiful bike path that Mr. Gressock, I believe, facilitated on Saunders Station, and then you just cross over right there into Penn Township, you go up the hill about just a tenth of a mile, and you come to a private drive. The name of it is Sycamore. Just beyond that is Meadowbrook. This is Penn Township. You may not know the names of these streets, or you might. And that is where on 291 Saunders Station there is a proposed site. And so I was just shocked, I guess, that Mr. Little and Mr. Gressock weren't aware of that. And then when it was looked into further, it turns out there's over 20 well pads that are proposed within a 5-mile radius of Monroeville, Pennsylvania.
Listen, when you mentioned that, I thought you were talking about something very recently. Okay, I mean, we have received, obviously, 2 years ago we received that.
That is not obvious, Mr. Little, and so I am curious to know what other municipalities, boroughs that are within 5 miles of Monroeville. You've had 4 days now to research it, and it's been 2 years. Maybe you don't remember, but did you look into it based on my question on Thursday?
Yes, I did.
So could you tell us what other well pads?
I have a map I will get to you.
You have a map that you'll get to?
Yes.
And
He'll give
No,
to you.
to you.
I will give to you
And when would that be?
tomorrow.
Is that a map that we'll be able to, will it be large enough so we can understand the impacts that potentially can be going on in Monroeville in a very...
It's pretty simple. It locates the wells within a 5-mile radius.
Okay. And so I'm also just curious to know, is that something that concerns anybody who's sitting before us here?
I don't know that we have any power to do anything about it.
Is it something that maybe we should have been advised of as citizens of the municipality of Monroeville?
I don't think other municipalities bear the responsibility to inform us. To your point, though.
Oh, they do. That's what I was asking about.
To your point, concerning concerns.
Are you concerned? You're my councilman.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The challenges currently that's out there that is the biggest concern of the folks here, and I think even we talked about it before, and I'm not sure if we made our concerns clear with it in place. First of all, it's been the health concerns. Starts from the beginning. From the data and the information, and I did my homework, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did, sure. That wasn't a problem. And a bit more from that, folks, as well.
Because I don't know.
Let me continue to answer your point to do that. One of the things that I found, are you familiar with the folks, the Resources for the Future from D.C., Washington, D.C.? I'll share this information with you, too. In fact, I'll give you a copy of Dr. Remy's card. And I think I neglected the other day, we were questioned a couple of meetings ago concerning continuing education and us being to do that. May have been a little disingenuous in not replying, because I was only talking, it was only asked about the Al-Anon conference, and I didn't speak up to myself. You familiar with the University of Pittsburgh's facility, their resource group in the School of Public Health and as well?
Mascaro?
Yeah. Well, no, not just Mascaro, but also in the School of Public Policy, concerning public policy and stuff as well. To that end, I have attended some of that information as well and followed on to it. One of the most interesting things and challenging things is it's been up in the air in the research here, and some of the other folks we have too, has been the health concerns.
The information that you have from the University of Pittsburgh School of Public Health says that,
Not just public health, no.
okay.
From, and I mentioned to
Can
you
you
some of the other
clarify
folks'
who
resources. I will.
says that the health issues are up in the air?
No, that are concerned. There's some clear concerns that are in there that we have to continue to proceed with, is the health issues, no question about it. There's also been a lot of information that showed there's been some tremendous improvement in terms of things such as well management activity and the effects in across, the state and the Commonwealth. One of the bits of information that came across recently was, in fact, up till 2013, an astounding number. I was astounded to find over 400 and some odd incidents of well failures, information, methane leaks, and 1 or 2, up to about 2013. It was awful. The most recent data between about 2013 and 20, I don't
And what
think.
data is that? Where does the
I'll
source?
do the resources first. I'll share with you, ma'am, to do that too. It's on from the group from Washington. Since then, they looked at Pennsylvania's incidents, and it's since about 2014 to 15. They haven't finished 17's data. Those incidents have subsided to almost none because of improvements between the DEP in Pennsylvania, as well as the people responding. Yeah, and DEP, they needed some help, obviously, yeah, from their beginnings of it too. But very clearly, individuals need to continue to watch for health-related issues there too, which, to your point, from some of the information we shared a couple of weeks ago. For us at this point, so from a policy standpoint, not focusing on the healthcare, from a policy standpoint, we've done a couple of things in the past year as we looked at. Number one, we've held off to, and I want to come to your projection too in terms of future. You asked the question, Citizens Night, to do that as well. To this point, we've restricted the only availability for drilling in Monroeville to the one particular site that's based on that last ordinance.
Without any stipulations,
No
though,
stipulations. We're done.
that the citizens have asked for.
That's stop. Yeah, at this point, it's information. We also understand that the business changes, the problems change, and the facts change as well as they move forward. I think to that end, we're going to continue to keep an eye on changes in information, but establish, and we brought some pending court cases and court cases that finished as well to us last time that you mentioned to us in the last group. At this moment, it's slipping my mind, the one you mentioned.
Coors Line?
Yeah, I believe it too.
Protect PT versus Penn Township?
Yeah, and as we wait for those in place too, to see some of the information that's in place. So we're going to keep an eye on what else is happening. At this point, it appears, I don't know to anything else, we can proceed any further from an ordinance standpoint. However, that doesn't mean it won't be under review. You mentioned before to look forward, hey, there were some other things changed. Think about into the future. Brought that as well. I think that's good, sound advice. I don't do that. But at this point, we've acted through that.
With all due respect, I don't agree with you
that's
regarding
fine.
the health impacts. And the Environmental Health Project, the
I'm sorry,
information...
about, maybe I'm not making myself clear.
The health impacts...
I think it's concern.
The
It is a very
studies
concern.
that you're citing, you say after 2013, it's not...
No, ma'am, those were well drilling incidents, an example of methane off-gassing in terms of also the linings of the wells have changed.
So let me rephrase
to
it.
that.
Based on your health concerns, and presumably that of council, I mentioned on Thursday, the Environmental Health Project has asked people that live within 5 miles of a well site to get themselves
Which
on
at the
that
end of this point you
registry.
just mentioned.
Is that something that the council could make a motion to promote in the municipality so that people understand what the risks are, and that when they are within 5 miles of a well pad, they ought to get themselves on that registry?
In terms of an actual motion resolution,
No.
at
Is
this
there-
point, it's difficult for us to act on what someone else is
Is
doing.
it difficult for you to act on putting protective ordinance in place that gives stipulation for noise levels, light levels, monitoring, that we can monitor pollution. We need
To your point, I think if I anticipate, just for the sake of time, and I think it continue to discuss, I hope to see you more here as we continue these conversations. Well, but I think that was the comparison. That was your analogy. If we have ordinances for these, why not add in ordinances concerning the health risks associated with drilling? That's where you're,
anything.
that's the analogy.
Right now, it just says no oil and gas unless it's in,
Understood. Yes, ma'am.
unless it's in industrial.
Yeah.
That gives the industry open.
It's outside our borders.
Yeah, we have.
No, I'm talking about in Monroeville. I'm talking about our ordinance that doesn't have any stipulations. This is a huge concern. And unfortunately, I can't be the one that comes back all the time. It's going to have to be other communities, and we're going to have to collaborate, because I feel like there's deaf ears here. 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And add
Have
to-
a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify what Dr. Beck mentioned, as far as on Thursday, I was asked if I was notified about the well pads from other communities, and I was not. Do I know about those well pads? Yes, I do, but probably the same way you do from reading news articles and being aware of what's going on. But I wasn't notified about the well pads,
But the municipality was.
Yeah, the municipality was.
which Mr. Hugus did say that at that
Right.
Thursday meeting,
And as a
which
little-
I found out the same time you found out on that Thursday.
No, just to repeat, I mean, I got the impression you were talking about something recent in the last 2, 3, 4 months or something, is why I said no. But no, yeah, we have been notified. Penn Township had to notify
How
us.
about
and
Plum?
to tell you the truth, I can't remember if we got anything from Plum yet or not. I don't, Penn Township, yes, but Plum, I can't.
Yes.
We've received from Plum?
Yes.
Okay. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if we have.
How many miles from Monroe?
Well, we can't get into back and forth
Yeah,
right
but I
now.
just-
But one thing maybe I can,
Yeah.
what I'll suggest perhaps is, what I'm hearing is maybe when we get notified of these things, that perhaps that is something we can either put on our website or put that information out there that other surrounding communities are exploring these items. So council, I'm not sure what you think about that, as far as
Sure, we can do
when a surrounding community notifies us of intentions to drill, is that something that we should put out there on our website to some degree? or-
Absolutely, why
Yeah,
not?
if it's given to
We have
the
nothing to hide.
municipality, yeah, put it out there for the
Can't
public.
hurt.
Right.
Yes.
So we'll do that.
For information.
We'll do that in the future. As far as a protective ordinance, I mean, we do have a protective ordinance it's not 100%, it's not where it should be, but it's not that a company can't come in and do anything they want. They can only, operation is only allowed in an M2 industrial zone, and also too, there certainly are DEP requirements and setbacks that they have to follow. So to think that it should just be free reign here in Monroeville, that is not the case.
I disagree respectfully.
So we'll move over to our, I still have the floor open for public